Alright guys, so today's video is going to be on how to use a beauty sponge or a beauty blender. I hope you guys will like this video because there's a lot of people out there that do not actually know how to use a beauty sponge or a beauty blender. So this is how it's going to look when it's new and it's dry. So that's not what we want. We want to use it wet so that way we get all of the moisture in and it's just going to give us a flawless application. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and dump it under the water and I squeeze it, and as I'm opening my hand slowly to release it, the water is going to be getting into the sponge. So that's what I like to do a lot because I like my beauty blender, to be really moisturizing and, give us that damp and sponge that we need, because to blend out flawlessly, it needs to be damp. So, and as well, it is going to expand as you wet it. So when it's dry, it's going to be really condensed, but when it's wet, it's going to get really large. So I like to use the butt of the beauty blender to apply foundation, and then I'll use the triangle side to go ahead and apply concealer. So right here, I'm just going to be damping. I'm just going to be stamping my foundation on, and I'm not going to be really swiping because swiping is going to take away that coverage and it's just not going to look as flawless. So I really like to just bounce it and just keep it in place instead of moving the foundation. So that's what I love, and that's what I find gets you that flawless airbrush looking foundation. So just use a very light hand because it is going to give you that flawless application. And this foundation that I'm using is from LA Girl. I really love this foundation because it can be built up to full coverage without looking really cakey. And that's why I love a beauty sponge, because when you're using a beauty sponge, it's going to absorb a little bit of your product, not too much. At least the beauty blender doesn't do that. It absorbs a little bit, but not too much, and it's going to actually smooth out your skin and make it look really perfect and actually really beautiful. And if you weren't using a sponge, most of the time, if you go in with a lot of foundation, it's going to get really cakey. And because of the water in the sponge, it's going to be really damp and really hydrating. So that way, as you're applying the foundation, it's going to apply very smoothly. That's why I love a beauty blender. So anyway, so the only reasons why I use a beauty blender is because I use it for my foundation and I use it for my concealer, which we're going to do right now, and we're going to be baking. So I'm going to be using this BH Cosmetics concealer under my eyes just for the coverage. And this BH Cosmetics concealer is a really full coverage, so that's why I love it, because it's going to hide all of our imperfections underneath our eyes. And so now we're going to be going in with the triangle shape side, whatever, of the beauty blender. And we're going to be really bouncing and really softly, because if you do it too hard, it's going to move the product, and that's what you don't want. You want to keep the coverage there as well. So really tap and bounce it really softly. And I really like the triangle side because it gets right underneath the eye, and you could get right into the inner corners without damaging anything, like without messing up any of your makeup. So it just fits really perfectly. So that's what I love. And you guys, the reason why I'm doing this video is because, yeah, for a lot of us people who love makeup, most of us know how to use a beauty blender, but there are so many requests because I'm always using beauty blenders, and they're always asking me, well, I use the same beauty blender that you do, but how come it doesn't look as flawless as yours does? And I always ask them, well, are you wetting the brush, the sponge? And they say no. So that is why I am doing this video. It's for all of you guys who don't know to wet your beauty blender. You don't have to be a makeup lover because, all of us want to look flawless, and if we can look flawless at an affordable price, why not? So the best way, in my opinion, is to use a beauty sponge or a beauty blender. So that's why I'm going to give you some dupes as well. Normally, I'm always using the Morphe sponges because they're absolutely amazing. They're totally a dupe for the beauty blender, but at an affordable price. It's the one I'm always using in my videos, guys. It's always the red sponge. I've used it in hundreds of my videos, guys. So now I'm just going to be tapping underneath my eye. And so that way we can blend out all of those creases before we go ahead and bake. And that's why I love this beauty blender as well. I don't use brushes to bake because they always leave brush strokes into my concealer. And so I'm just going to be tapping and lightly pressing and setting that concealer underneath the eyes. That's why I love a beauty blender. It just, when you hear beauty blender, just think of airbrush. Beauty blender equals airbrush. So if that's the flawlessness that you guys want, you guys need some sort of sponge. I'm not saying you have to go out and get the beauty blender, but the Real Techniques ones is a really good dupe for, the beauty blender. And the only reason why I'm using the beauty blender in this video is because it was new, it wasn't dirty, and my other ones were really dirty and jacked up. But you guys could go on my channel and, I swear probably like the last 30, 40 videos were probably with that Morphe beauty blender. So go ahead and check it out. And the Morphe one is $6, and the one I'm using in this video is $20. So you guys do the math. You guys are going to save some bucks. You guys can get probably like 3 of the Morphe sponges for the price of 1 beauty blender. Hello. So I just really wanted to show you guys me doing my makeup. This is how I would normally do it all the time. And so I'm not going to include, highlight and all of that crap. I just want the focus to be on how to use the beauty blender properly and how I use it. Just because I say that this is the way I'm using it, it's the only way. No. So this is just the way I get my flawless face, and I just wanted to show you guys because a lot of you guys always have questions about it. But you guys, as you guys can see, my under eyes just look so snatched and beautiful. So now we're just going to go ahead and contour. We are going to be using the BH Cosmetics Contour Kit. It's a palette. It's a contour and highlight palette, actually. And so we're going to be using that brown shade. It actually has a little bit of gray in it, and I actually can't believe I'm actually liking it. But it's more of a red toned bronzer, which y'all know I love red and orange compared to a gray bronzer. I cannot go with any cool tone bronzers because the facial hair on my face will end up looking really gray and muddy. So that's why even if I've shaved, it doesn't matter. It will still look gray underneath. And color correcting does help a little bit, but it always peeks through. Hello. So that's why I just really like this bronzer. It's really, really beautiful, and it really blends really beautifully. And I really like to focus it on the right by the ear going into the hairline, right at the tops of those cheekbones, because that's where the shadow is going to look more prominent. And that's what we want because, I'm fat and I need to look probably like 30 pounds lighter, which won't happen, but I'll probably get down to like 10 pounds. So that's why we are snatching this face. But that's pretty much it, guys. That is just how I use my beauty blender. I hope you guys like my way, and I hope you guys use my technique. And if you guys have any questions, always leave them down in the description box and I will address them. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. I love you guys. Subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.